All right, hey everybody. It's good to have you back to Conversations with Mr. P. Is what we finally decided on, and hope you're all doing well. We are here today with Brandon Stevens. I taught Brandon a couple years ago now, and so Brandon and I had been talking on Facebook chat about some different things, and so we thought we'd get a discussion this evening. Been a busy week for me podcast-wise. I had Mrs. Minor on Tuesday. My friend Andrew Carter and I shot the breeze for over an hour Wednesday night about absolutely nothing. If you haven't seen that one, it's the episode like Seinfeld. We just cover it all, from his cat Milo to college basketball to COVID and everything in between. That was a fun one. All right, so Brandon, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how we met, all that kind of stuff, and then we'll go from there.
All right, sounds good. So as Mr. P, or as I call him, Coach, said, my name's Brandon. I am from Williamstown, New Jersey. Although I was born in Tennessee, I was raised in Williamstown my whole life. I went to private school. I went to Victory Christian School, and then ended up graduating from Gloucester County Christian School. I played sports my whole life. I sang. I don't know, as from the outside looking in, it looked like I was a completely normal kid. And if you would have asked anybody back then, you could say, hey, you know what, he's going to succeed at something someday. And I gave that, how do I word it? I gave that illusion to people, but on the inside, there was something missing. And so without getting into anything too deep right now, I guess just basically my background is a Christian kid, grew up in a Christian home, never missed a Sunday service. Was there Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, Bible study, revivals, wherever the doors were open, we were there. But it's not my full story. So that's just a little bit of background on me.
Okay. Before we get into that, because that's a great segue. You played basketball and soccer. Did you play baseball too, or?
I did play baseball. I didn't like it, but it was something to do in the spring.
I think you guys did that just because you felt bad for Brad.
Yeah, it's basically, we wanted to make sure there was a team to field for him. So we had to keep him happy in the spring.
I'll tell you, it's funny about what you just said. That is not the mindset of today's athlete.
No, it's not. Why not?
I can't get 9 kids for soccer.
Really?
It's not my sport. What about your team? What about your classmates? Whatever. Yeah, it's different now.
Wow.
You're the second person to say that since I've had this. And it's weird now. It's like, I specialize in this. Dude, you're 5'8". Stop specializing in basketball. And they just look at me like, what are you talking about? What was your favorite sport, soccer or basketball?
Soccer was definitely my favorite sport. I think I had the most fun growing up playing basketball just because of the group of guys that we were fortunate to have. But from the time I could walk, I loved soccer. And then even after high school, soccer. And to this day, I still follow soccer the closest.
Yeah, this has been the hardest thing for my middle son. He's a senior. He's actually playing FIFA right now, and he's all things soccer. He's about to sign a college scholarship to play, and he's in the middle of his club season. There's no club season coming. The way it looks, it's been a rough way to end things out. Yeah. Let's see. So you play point guard in basketball, right? And you play what would you play midfield for soccer?
I played forward in high school.
Okay.
I loved to score. I didn't like to pass. I don't want to say I was a diva in high school, but I wanted to be Cristiano Ronaldo, and I wanted to dribble past everyone. Yeah. I went to college. I changed. I actually got moved to center fullback. Never thought I'd play defense. I'm like, defense? I don't play defense.
Yep.
What? I never come past midfield. And basically in high school, with the team that we put together certain times, at points I was the only offense in soccer. So I would hang out by midfield, wait for an opportunity, make a run at a couple defenders, and hope to get lucky. College, different athletes, completely different world. But I ended up doing pretty well at center fullback. So it was a good change, but it was definitely different.
Where'd you play? Pensacola or Bob Jones?
I played at Bob Jones, and then I played at Pensacola as well. I actually played in both Turkey Bowls there. Nice. I was a part of, because Pensacola now does a traveling team with soccer, or they have basketball, but I was a part of starting that soccer team.
Yep. Very good. Very good. All right. So in your introduction, you kind of mentioned how you were the typical private/Christian school kid. And what do you think played into the fact that you were just I think your words may have been playing the game. What was how did that happen? I guess is the best way to start it.
I think very early on, I learned the things to say before they even meant anything to me. As far as just being in Sunday school from a very early age, you learn, I don't want to say catechisms because I didn't go to a Catholic church, but you learn the things. Yeah, you learn how to speak the speak and talk the talk without it ever actually applying. And so from a very early age, I learned what I should look like as a Christian, how I should talk, and how I should behave when everybody's watching.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So why don't you get into as much as you want to, what happened after high school into college and further on then?
Okay. So, I mean, there was always a little bit of fire. There was a little fire in high school. And when I say fire, I mean, like, there was some smoke. There was, let's say, like a couple instances where I got in trouble and maybe I don't know, maybe there should have been further discipline or whatever, but it was enough that, oh, he's just a kid. He'll grow out of it. He's being rebellious, yada, yada. Went through college, same thing. Got in small trouble here and there. Maybe it should have been a red flag to me, but it wasn't. So when I really got started getting, I don't know, exposed for the fraud that I was a year after college. I always wanted everything so fast. When I was 12, I wanted to be 18. When I was 18, I wanted to be 22. When I was 22, I wanted to have a house with a picket fence and 6 kids at 25. I could never live in the moment that I was in now. And so just came out of college and I wanted a high paying job, and I'm working for TD Bank and making $11 an hour, and I hated it. I'm like, let me go sell mortgages and make fast money. That's what my brother had done, and I'm like, I can do this. So I switched jobs, and for a while it was good. I was making good money and I was happy, and I'm like, oh look, I just bought a house, yada yada. I'm inviting friends over. Here I am, 23 years old, acting like I have the dream, but I don't. And so at that time I had put on a little bit of weight after college, like like some of us do. You get married, you put on some weight, you get that happy 50, or it's supposed to be happy 20, but it was a happy 50 for me. And I'm still trying to play indoor soccer with 18-year-olds. And I think it was maybe the 3rd game of the season. And I never liked turf. So guys who play soccer, just be careful on turf.
Yeah.
I bought brand new turf shoes. It was a Friday night. And I was running towards the end line, and I went to stop the ball before it went out of bounds. And the guy behind me just put a light amount of pressure on my back. Nothing. It wasn't a foul, just a little bit of pressure on me. And it was enough that my left knee, it stuck. It didn't slide like it would on grass, but it stuck. And when it did, I felt a couple pops, and I knew something was wrong. Something was wrong big time. And I'd never really had I rolled my ankle a couple times, never had a major injury. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to the hospital. I'll be fine. And I'll just walk it off. So after a month, I think I'm okay. I'm like, I'm fine. So I tried playing basketball. Played basketball. I went to drive and make a layup, and I took off my left foot, and it folded like a cheap suit. And I'm like, at this point, I know something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I was playing with a bunch of the guys that I played in high school with, and like, you got to go to the doc. You got to go get an MRI like now. So come to find out, I don't know which time I did it. I think the first time I got hurt, I tore my ACL. Then the other time I might have torn my meniscuses, but I ended up tearing my meniscus on both sides, my ACL, and my PCL. So it's like basically everything in your knee that you can tear. And it was not fun. So I had to schedule a surgery. I wanted to continue to play. So I'm like, okay, if I get the surgery, I do the rehab, I can continue to play sports. So had the surgery, started getting into the rehab. Now, I had always heard little stories of guys saying, oh, well, be careful when they give you a prescription after a surgery. Like, it could become very addictive, yada, yada. I'm like, oh, that would never happen to me. Like, I'm Mr. Big Shot at a mortgage company, and I have my life. I'm too smart for that. It could never happen to me. And this whole time, I'm still going to church, right? Going every Sunday, but there's nothing going. I had no relationship with God. There was nothing on a personal level. I didn't pray. I pray when we sat down as a family to eat, but I wasn't praying in the morning. I wasn't talking to God. I wasn't having any sort of intimate relationship with him. So I get the surgery. I get prescribed my first set of opioid medication. I take it as prescribed for the 3 weeks that they gave it to me, and I'm like, I'm okay. Then I remember towards the end, I started making up excuses to go back to the doctors to get more. And I'm like, oh, I'm still in pain. And I'm lying to myself. I'm still in pain. But for some reason, I liked the way it made me feel. It completed me. And the way I look at it now is that was a God-sized hole that I had inside of me. And so, long story short, without dragging you through the details and the pain, I'd rather talk about the love on this side of it than the pain on that side. I ended up going down about a year-long struggle with opiate-related medication, and it ended up landing me getting arrested. And so, for those of you that know my story, it was a big eye-opener for me and for my family, because no one really had any idea. I remember it was people looking on Facebook and just seeing me arrested, like, what? No one had any idea except for me. And I ended up sitting in jail for about 12 months. And I'd like to tell you that my first night in jail, I cried out to God, and I was like, you know what, God, I'm sorry. It didn't happen that way. I'd been so hard-hearted my whole life. Why would it change overnight? So I remember it was about maybe 6 months into sitting in jail. Now, mind you, I grew up in a very sheltered home. So for me to go to a correctional facility was definitely a culture and a life shock for me. So about 6 months in, and I'm thinking, like, I had it down to a routine. I'm playing basketball with the guys. I'm like, oh, I'm surviving here. And someone gave me a radio. And on that radio, one of the few stations you could get was K-Love. And I don't know.
Yeah, we have
it. Okay, you have K-Love.
We have K-Love in the river, I think. So yeah, we have it here.
Okay. So, and there was just song after song. And I'm like, you know what? I got to start reading my Bible. And that's the first time where there was a song called Chain Breaker. And it talks about, like, the only person that can break the chains of whatever it is addiction, whatever, is God. So I'm like, I got to start reading my Bible. And it was from that night, I think it took about a week till I just, in the middle of the night, about 2 a.m, I woke up crying. And I'm just like, God, I've ran from you my whole life. Wow. It's never been real. I've never known you. I've never sought to know you, because it was just tradition to me. That's what we did on Sundays, just like I watched football on Sundays. And I think my heart had become so hard. It took being in the most vulnerable place of my life that I finally broke down and I was like, God, whatever you want me to do. And I'm not saying since that day it's been easy, because any Christian knows that it's not. It's a daily struggle, and it's a daily really dying to yourself. But since that day, I can honestly say I have a relationship with God, and it's been the best journey. So.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot to digest, Brand. All right. So let's start this then. All right. So now you're halfway in, right? Because you're 6 months in at this point.
Correct.
And you've now have a genuine relationship with God. So how does the rest of your time go in there?
So it kind of transitioned. So it was, hey, this is the white kid that can play basketball a little bit. And now I'm bringing my roommate to church with me, because they do offer services in there, like on Saturday nights usually. I'm like, hey, let's go to church, man. He's like, you haven't talked about church the first 6 months you're here. I'm like, yeah, I kind of grew up in church. I know a thing or two about the Bible. I didn't always apply it, but I can tell you whatever you want to know about it.
Sure.
And
hold on, just time out right there, Brand. So some of my students may watch this. I may even use this for a lesson next week. So we've discussed a lot recently about how there's a difference between relationship and just knowing a bunch of Bible facts. What Brandon has said so far is he knew all the facts. I mean, I watched him grow up. He would sing in church. We were a church of 500-600 people. You would sing specials, solos, the whole 9 yards. So Brandon knew all the facts. He did not have a personal relationship with Christ. Huge difference between those two things you're talking about, right?
Correct. That's the biggest disconnect for me. I mean, like, the longest distance, you've heard it a ton of times in church, the longest distance is from here to your heart.
Yep.
And being in Awana, being in Christian school, Christian church, even to this day, like those verses are burned into my brain where I can just quote scripture, and I can tell you, I even took apologetic. That's right. Apologetic.
Yeah.
That's the correct word. Yeah. Classes in college and how to defend your faith against atheism or evolution. And so I knew a bunch of information and facts,
right.
but what I applied and what I actually transitioned into a relationship with God was a completely different thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really important thing, I think, for our students to understand, that just because you go to a Christian school, go to church, and you can quote some Bible, that's not the same thing as a personal walk. And what Brandon just described is that he had all the knowledge in the world, but not a relationship. And until he hit hard times, then he began to finally realize what he was missing in his life and heart. That's a huge thing. It really is. So what was so now you're bringing your roommate to the services you left off at?
Yeah. So I'm starting to bring my roommate to services. I'm starting to reach out to people. And I remember having a conversation with my mom. I'm like, this can't be the path that was like, that God chose for me. Right. And she's like, no, you chose it. Right. But God's going to be glorified in it.
Amen.
So I'm like, okay, I would never be around these people in this jail if I didn't do what I did. But since I'm here and I have the chance, maybe I can help somebody. I don't know, maybe I can help myself by helping somebody.
Sure.
And so that's when this knowledge and this information that was given to me and imparted to me my whole life, when I started to use it. And then maybe I'm using it on myself and I'm spending more time thinking, because if anything I know about jail, there's a lot of time to think, a lot of time in your head, in your own thoughts. And that was the best place for me right there. I really got honest with myself, with who you are and with where I was going.
What was the lowest point for you?
I think the lowest point was the first phone call I made after I gotten arrested. I remember my parents were so proud that I had a house, had a decent job, and they thought I was doing well. I mean, my mom, now when we talk about it, said she knew something was off. But I remember having to make the call to my mom. It was known that I'd been arrested because the detectives had gone through my house, and basically I got arrested on my front lawn. And I had to call my mom and tell her. I didn't know. I didn't know why at that time. I do now. I do now. I know that a lot of it is not dealing with the post issues of addiction, not getting help that way, but it all comes from living a fake life. And so living a fake life my whole life brought me to the point where here I am, knowing I have this problem with these opiate medications, but I can't say anything to anyone because I can't let anyone see that I'm not doing well. I can't be honest with anyone about what I'm feeling, what I'm going through. At that time, I'd have rather looked at you and told you, hey, you know what? I'm doing great on the inside when I know I'm not.
What's one verse or one passage maybe that either came to mind or comes to mind through all of that? Any
In the
particular
midst of
one?
all that, I would think all things work together for good to those who are called according to his
Purpose.
Yeah. I think that verse really, because I struggled for so long, even in jail with, okay, now that I did this, how can I recover? Because I always, and you kind of alluded to it, I always thought my Christianity or spirituality was based on how well I followed a certain set of rules.
Traditions.
Or if I followed a certain set of traditions, like I knew my Bible verses when I should, I was at church service on Sunday, I sang in the choir, then I was spiritual. That was spiritual. Or I got caught up in an emotional song and I felt like an emotion. Nah, man, it's just like having a relationship with with a girlfriend or a friend. It takes work, right? It takes work to have a relationship with God. You have to work on your end. He's always there, but you have to put work in on your end.
Yeah, he's faithful. There's a lot of if statements in the Bible, and they're not dependent upon God; they're dependent upon us, and that's a really important thing. It's important to consider. All right, so what are you doing now?
Right now, I am, well, quarantining like the rest of America,
Yeah.
which is fun. I just started working at Atlantic Christian School as a groundskeeper, and I'm doing a little bit with the athletic department. It's a it's a real big blessing for me, because if you would have talked to me 3 years ago, coming out of jail, I would have thought there's no way. There's no way is anyone going to be able to look past that. How am I going to get past it?
Sure.
I've been turned down for numerous jobs I was overqualified for. But my heart since that happened has always been, you know what, if I can help one person, I know just in my area, uh, offhand, I can think of 30 kids that I grew up with that struggled with the same things I struggled with.
Mhm.
A lot of them have passed away, and now I get the opportunity to be around Christian athletes, and you know what, just tell them my story, and maybe it helps one.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. That's real good. Um, let's see here. What are you grateful for every day that you can't believe, having said all that you've said, that you're blessed with?
um, I would say recently, my wife gave birth to our son 8 months ago, and just in the last couple of days, he's crawling, he's eating, like chewing food. He just broke another tooth. I'm like, who is this kid?
Yeah.
It's like he changes so fast. Um, and to tell me that I would not only be happy, but I'd have my own place, um, have two children that I love. My stepdaughter is 5 years old. My son is 8 months, and a wife who loves me and looks past all my failures and my faults from my past. I, I mean, I don't think I would have ever thought that I'd be in this position today.
All right. Let me give you two more serious questions, then we'll get more relaxed again. Okay. What's advice that you would give a teenager if they were sitting down with you right now?
Okay, so this is big for me, because everyone tells you your teenage years are the best years of your life, and they really are. You have no stress. You can really just enjoy being with your friends when we're not quarantined. But I think it's also the most important years of your life, because you have the freedom now to ask questions. You have the freedom to ask searching questions without, no one depends on you right now. Like, you don't have children that are counting on you. So you can really soul search. You can take the time to soul search. And whatever you say to your friends, whatever you say to your teachers, it doesn't matter, because you know when you're laying in your bed at night and you're thinking, you know what's going on in your heart and your mind. And are you truly searching for Jesus? Are you truly searching for God? Or is the next, I mean, I'm not saying a ball game is not important, because I love sports as much as the next guy. Like, what's more important to you? And I just think, I don't know, as a teenager, you have the most unique opportunity, because you can be some of the most influential people.
Mhm.
And one great teenager can turn a whole school either up for God or away from God. If you're just willing to be honest and forget about what other people think about you, because none of those people matter anyway. I got so caught up in what people think, and like what are they seeing me do this, do that? Doesn't matter, man. All that
Yeah,
matters at the end of the day is your relationship with God, because everything else fixes itself.
that's really good. Last serious question, then we'll get into some other things. Um, how has the Lord helped you with any regrets that you have from that period? Well, even before that period, because like you said before, you were living a lie. So maybe you look back and go, boy, I wish this was different, or I regret this, or
Um, I mean,
hard to say, isn't it?
it's hard to say. So basically, like, through a lot of the biblical counseling I've had, and just like the short answer for that is, those are things that I did, but it's not who I am today.
Right.
And when I look at the blessings that I have with my wife and children, I wouldn't have that without going through what I did. So I don't want to say I'm thankful for it, but God used it to
Get your attention, didn't he?
break me. I mean,
Yeah.
my parents had always said, like, God's a jealous God, and if you're one of His, He's not going to let you go. He'll let you go
Yep.
so far,
Yep.
but He'll put you in the belly of a welly, the belly of a whale.
It's
or
funny, as I knew what you meant it right away. Like, wait, what? Oh, yeah.
or a jail cell. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's gonna come get you.
I think that's an important thing, that I think people are afraid to be broken. And yet sometimes when you look at some of the characters in the Bible, they're broken before God uses them. And that's even true in modern days, is God often will break us before he uses us. I think people are afraid of that because we then don't have control, and we got to have control. You know what I mean? So that's an important thought. I think it is to consider the fact that, we always say that hindsight's 20/20. Well, yeah, that's true, but no one has it when you're going through something, and we're usually either leaving a storm or heading into something else. Now, it may be self-inflicted, but it's still going to be consequences to those things one way or the other. And I think it's important to not live life with regrets. Rather, praise God for the grace and mercy he gives us, and then ask God for that grace and mercy if you need it to continue forward for him. So
yeah, I agree.
So let's see. What jersey are you wearing right now?
I had to pull off the Carson Wentz jersey tonight.
All right. So for Becca, So for Becca in my class, who's a Cowboys fan, he's wearing the one true jersey. That's for you, Becca. I had to throw that in there because she's going to watch this for Bible class, I think, and I want to make sure that Becca. So you'll like this. So this year, obviously they play twice a year. She started talking trash to me, right? And so we made a deal that if the Cowboys beat the Eagles, she'd decorate my room, and other way around, I decorate her locker. Well, I talked trash for so long, and then everybody got her on the Eagles, and we got smoked that first game. And we had a day off, right? I come in, I'm working my day off. I get a knock on my door. This girl, sixth grader, comes to school on her day off, balloons, blue and gray tablecloths for everyone in my room. My room was Cowboy stuff for like 3 weeks.
It's the worst colors.
See, back, I told you. All right. So let's see. We were talking about sports as far as favorite sports. What's your favorite moment? See, you played for me for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite moment from those 2 years?
Oh man. Okay. Probably my favorite moment. It wasn't even during a win. It was just a funny moment thinking about it. I remember we were down 1. No, excuse me. We were down 2 against Parsippany, I believe it was. And we got the rebound, and Craig went and called a timeout. We didn't have any.
Bubby called a timeout.
It was 10th grade, right? It was kind of our coming out year, a bunch of sophomores, and we're gonna have like a decent year. And he calls the timeout, and we look over, and you're just almost in tears because we don't have any timeouts.
Because so that game we played poorly that game, and they had a nice point guard. And Bubby had, I think, probably the worst game of his high school career that night. I mean, it was brutal. Do you remember what I said then? Because they gave us a timeout. Do you remember what I said to him? I think you all walked away because he was like mid-court. I walked up to him. I said, "Hey, here's the best news. The best news is you'll probably never have a game this bad again in your entire life."
He pulled a Chris Webber.
He just turned, looked at me. He's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Bud, you'll never call another timeout again when we don't have them, ever." And that was our tournament too. Remember that?
Yep, it was. And if you remember, so after we came out of timeout, they knocked down both free throws, right? And so they're up 4. And I kind of just like half-heartedly after the inbound threw the full court, and it went in. It was literally full court, and it went in. And everyone's screaming, right? I'm like, we still lost.
We still lost by 1. I forgot that. They had a nice post player that year too.
Yeah, they did. They had a really good point guard and a nice post player.
He was quick. That kid was really quick. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, they beat us twice a year. I think they beat us then. They beat us in the Garden State tournament too, I think.
Nope. Do you remember getting beat by Gospel of Grace on the buzzer beater? How many heartbreaking losses did we have?
I forgot you were there for the Gospel of Grace one. That was the worst loss. It was worse in a way that I can't explain to people because
the guy who made the shot can't shoot.
I really believe Isaac helped to go in because he swears he tipped it.
Oh man.
So for those of you that don't know what's going on, so the year he's talking about would have been your sophomore year. Is that right?
That was junior year.
Junior year. Okay, So junior year we rolled through our league, like steam rolled everybody. We even beat Fairwinds by 30 at home. Mm-hmm. I mean, we boat raced everybody. And Gospel of Grace had a nice point guard, Eddie, and they had, a 6'6" kid in the middle. And then they had a post player who could jump too. He ended up playing. Actually, he had a nice career in college. Actually,
Did he really?
Yeah. He had a real nice career at a small school in college. And we beat him by, I think, 20 at their place, and I think we beat him by 15 at our place. They had a couple of good dunks, but I mean, it wasn't close. And so we have him in the first round of our league championships. And we're hosting. They brought everybody from Philadelphia to our school. Remember that? It was packed. It was packed. And we were up by 8 like the whole game. And I remember I kept telling you guys, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. And I was, at that point, you guys understood enough basketball that usually if we had a situation, we would discuss the situation in timeouts. I wouldn't say here's what we're going to do. I'd say, all right, you guys want to play defense? You guys want to foul and get the ball back? And so we agreed that night, because of their shooting, let's just play defense. Because we were up by 1, right?
Yep. I'll never remember that time. You said, don't let Eddie get the inbound, right?
Yep.
And you told Isaac if the guy he was guarding gets it, that's fine. Just lock him down. So I remember at that inbound, I did everything. I'm holding Eddie, grabbing his shirt. He's holding me. Yep. So go ahead. You can finish.
So the ball goes to, what was his name, the big kid?
I can't remember. I didn't know he could jump out of the gym.
Yeah, he could jump. So I remember he got the ball. He turned. He was at the elbow, maybe 2 feet off the elbow.
Yep.
And he let it fly. And Isaac jumped. And he says he tipped it. The time expires. And I can remember it went clean through. Like, it didn't touch anything.
Mm-mm.
And they beat us by 1 at the butt. Like, there's no time. It's not like, go look at the, let's give him a half a second. I mean, there was no time left. And we're just standing there. Their entire bleachers, and they had a good number of people that night, stormed the court. They're running around.
Whole school.
I think you're right, because it wasn't a very big school. The whole school storms the court. We were just standing there, still looking there. And I remember we went, and the funniest thing, and people don't believe this when I tell them, we're sitting in the locker room, and nobody says anything. Like, what am I going to say? There's nothing to say. We're sitting there, and the door comes. Do you remember this part? The door comes flying open.
Vaguely.
Eddie comes in, the point guard, on his phone, crying. He's crying, like sobbing. He goes, Coach. He says, Coach, he goes, my mom couldn't be here. She had to work. She doesn't believe that we beat you. Would you tell her? Do you remember that?
I do.
I just looked at him, and at first I was mad, but I'm like, this isn't his fault. I mean, So he comes.
No, he's a kid.
It's the biggest game of his life, and he hands me the phone, and yes, ma'am. No, yes. She starts screaming. I hand the phone back. He's in full tears. He walks out. The door slams shut, and I remember, I'll never forget. Blake looks at us. He goes, "How can you be mad at that?" And then I remember, because we were hosting the finals and the consolation game.
Yep. We had to have them come and play in the finals while we sat and watched.
Well, fun. We played a consolation game against that school from Delaware, and you guys do you remember that?
Didn't mean anything.
So you guys decided, why play defense? Let's just run the whole game. You remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They wanted no part of that game. We beat them by 40 that night too. That was a rough loss.
Oh, that hurt. That one hurt.
That still stings.
Yep.
Yeah,
that one hurt.
But that was the first year we won the Garden State, right?
Yes, in the 24 to 26 game.
Ugliest.
The low scoring battle.
Yep.
Oh, that was so bad.
I remember I told Bubby, I said, I don't care whatever happens, don't let what was his last name?
Josh Nets.
I said, Nets cannot get a shot off. I don't care what you do on offense, just shut him down. I remember Nets got the tip and hit a shot. That might have been his last points of the game.
Yeah, he locked him down.
Bubby locked him down.
But he couldn't play offense that game because he was so busy running around with him.
He was exhausted. Yeah, it was an ugly game. It was physical too.
Yeah, it was very physical.
Real physical. Yeah. All right. So, what's your favorite sport to watch?
Probably basketball.
Still?
College basketball. Yeah. I like the NBA from a distance, but I can't get into it like college basketball because for me, I like seeing the X and O's of college basketball, and you got a lot of isolation in the NBA and one-on-one, and it's just like, it's kind of annoying. It's more like a soap opera than basketball. It's
tough. I
sometimes.
don't know if you heard Michael Wilbon today. They were asking him about the NBA now versus, because the whole Jordan, The Last Dance comes out Sunday night. If you're not watching that, you need to watch that to see the GOAT play. But he mentions that that he wouldn't pay money to go see James Harden play. Did you see that quote today?
No, I didn't.
Wilbon went off. He said, he said, I wouldn't pay a dime to go watch him play. He goes, don't misunderstand me. He goes, he is going to be a Hall of Famer. He goes, I can't handle 25 dribbles in a shot.
Yeah.
He said, I'm sorry. He goes, you go watch those games where Michael Jordan was a ball hog and he's still working his tail off through screens and through different motions to get a shot open. It's a different, the NBA is different today and it's not as fun as it used to be. And I don't know what to do to fix it because
it's just spacing. That's all it is.
That's what it is. It's spacing, and the spacing now is so perfect, and the shooters are now so different than what they were 15 years ago. It's a different game. I mean, you know, when you got Kevin Durant, who's a legit 7-footer, pulling up from 25 feet on purpose, it's a different game.
It's a problem.
It's a big problem. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. Do you remember? Speaking of problems, I wish I could. If I had the clip, I'd put it right here, guys, but I can't. So, do you remember we were playing at Atlantic? So Brandon's our point guard.
I work there now, so I tell this story often.
So they had a team that was that would have been ranked in the state if they were in the state, but they were kind of like their own thing. They had the coach's sons were 2 legit 7-footers, and they had a 6'8" kid, right? And then then whoever the point guard was from Philadelphia, Deshaun Minnis was his name. Deshaun Minnis played briefly in Texas Tech and also I forget where it was, somewhere up north, New Hampshire maybe. And you made a pass out to the left wing, and one of the big kids, I can't remember which one it was, he was a 7-footer. He stole the ball. Go ahead, Brandon, tell the rest of the story.
So he stole the ball, and I'm obviously playing point guard, so I got to get back. I just turned the ball over, and I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? So he's coming down. I somehow got in front of him. The thought of taking a charge crossed my mind, and I'm like, nah, he probably outweighs me by 150 pounds.
He was huge.
So I went to steal the ball, and rather than dribble again, he just palmed it, just didn't put it back down.
Nope.
And rose up and just dunked on top of me. So in my head, I'm like, I got to get out of the way. So maybe I screamed. I don't know. I think I did. And I kind of just ran straight out of bounds. I didn't want to get dunked on.
If I could have the video, you can hear him scream on the video, and he's doing like this, and he's running like in a diagonal behind, because the guy only took like 3 dribbles. Like he took maybe 3, and half court,
more than half court.
Yeah, it wasn't many dribbles, and I mean, again, the guy was a Division I player, so he knew he was doing. Yeah, we got dunked on several times that night. That was a rough. So when you tell the story there, what do they say?
Well, I do start by telling that was the game that I pulled up from about two or 3 steps in front of half court and took the shot, and you were like, no, and then I made it, and you sat down. I came over to timeout. I'm like, the scouts are here watching me because, like, we knew we were going to lose. I'm like, the scouts are here, coach. Maybe it was the next series or maybe a couple series down the road. I tried driving and throwing up a layup, and it got blocked and hit the wall. And you're like, do you think they're still watching? I was like, no, it's over.
I remember I put Brad in that game, and he decides to run the baseline. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? They have 2 7-footers and a 6'8". Why are you going the baseline?
And if you've never been around a 7-footer, we had a 6'8" and a 6'5" kid on our team, and the 7-footers made these kids look small on film. When they're banging bodies next to each other, they look like little kids.
I remember before the game, because I was in practice with you guys, and I used a broom to try to block your shots. And I remember I told Bubby and Isaac was our 6'8", and he's a legit 6'8", legit 295-pound dude who could bang. And Bubby's a good athlete. I told them, I said, no dunks. Do you remember that? And I remember we're fronting the post. They throw it over the top, and he goes to tomahawk on Isaac. Isaac gives him 2 handfuls and just drills the kid. He dunks on Isaac, chins up. Bubby and Isaac are laying on the ground. I had to call timeout. I was laughing so hard. And I'll never forget when they walked over, Bubby has the nerve to say, nope, dunk wasn't on me. I'm like, oh, dude, he was on all y'all. All of y'all. We got hammered that night. That was a rough one. Yeah. They were good, though. I mean, they were legit.
Very good.
We're a legit good high school team, to play with anybody for sure. So who's your favorite athlete?
My favorite athlete. If I'm going soccer, I'm going to have to say Cristiano Ronaldo, and I know that's people either hate him or love him. But he was just always so entertaining to watch. I mean, even now he's in his
he's
mid 30s, and he still flies by. He's just a step faster than anyone else. But my favorite athlete, yeah, I'm gonna have to go Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, it's funny because my son's a big soccer player. He's a Messi guy, but I always tell people, like, I love them both for different reasons. Like to me, Ronaldo is probably the best athlete in the game of soccer with the combined skill and the work ethic. Messi is just the most technical player possibly the world's ever seen and may ever see. Messi's special. Now, his acceleration is also elite. We can't ignore the fact that he blows by elite defenders at a remarkable clip for the size that he and the weight that he is. But Ronaldo is just a different athlete. I mean, that header he had a few years ago in the Champions League final, where he jumps like.
What you're talking about.
I mean, that's an elite athletic play. It's not just a soccer play; it's an athletic play that the average guy playing soccer is not going to make. So it to me, it's okay to like them both for different reasons. I mean, they're just they are two different experts with different skill sets that are just remarkable.
I think, if I'm put on the spot, I always say Messi's better because of what he does for his team. I don't think anybody sees the game of soccer better than Messi does right now.
I agree.
But if I have both games on at the same time, I'm probably sitting back on the couch watching Cristiano Ronaldo, just because you never know.
Yeah.
You could see 3 goals, or you could see him just walking around creating a sideshow. He's just entertainment.
All right, I think I know the answer to this one. So what's the best sports moment, talking about pro, not stuff that we talked about already, that you've ever seen?
Best sports moment? Oh, I mean, the Eagles Super Bowl. But for me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, probably the individual moment rather than like a game. The Eagles Super Bowl. I mean, if you guys don't know anything about the Philadelphia Eagles, this was the first Super Bowl we've ever won. Fans collectively thought it would never happen, and when it did, it's just, I don't know. I still smile when I think about it.
Well, I always tell people, I remember because I was living here when it happened, and I'm on Facebook enough. People didn't know what to do.
No,
because Eagles fans are so used to losing that what do we do?
I don't know. We've never done this before.
This is new. And like, for us who live in Central Ohio, imagine Buckeyes football the way it's talked about here, only with a little bit more anger and passion, 24/7 year round. That's how it is in Philadelphia with the Eagles. It's crazy.
It is nuts. They really do bleed green here. But the best moment I've seen in sports, I remember I was on vacation, and I was actually in Dominican Republic, and I can't remember who the kid from Villanova, when he made that shot.
I
remember I can't remember his name either. But I remember I walked by a restaurant, and they had it on TV, and I just stopped, and I'm like, oh, the game's tied. That's cool. And then like there was a couple lead changes, and then I see there's like 3 seconds left, and he makes that shot from half court. And like I didn't know anybody around me. They're all speaking a different language, and they're just all going nuts. I'm like, wow, I missed this whole game. I can't believe it. And for me, missing a sporting event was like a big deal, but I was really trying to spend time with the family.
That was a huge shot. I forgot about that one. Yeah. All right. So who do you think is the greatest of all time in football?
I hate to say it, but Tom Brady.
Yeah, I know. The same way.
My son's name is Brady, and people ask, well, did you do it for Tom Brady? I'm like, no, as a person, I can't stand him. But when you look at, I mean, first off, what he does as far as taking care of his body as an athlete and his mind, it's unparalleled. But just from a tactical standpoint, the way he undresses a defense, I mean, Peyton Manning was like that, but Tom Brady, he's the best. He's the best.
It's funny because I thought for sure when Peyton Manning was at his prime, he was the greatest of all time, because the way he would just look at a defense and know it was coming. But Tom Brady has done it longer and different. And even though I'm not a Brady guy at all, and it could be because of the whole Patriot way thing. I mean, we'll see what happens in Tampa Bay. But yeah, it's hard to ignore the fact that he takes his craft so serious. I mean, you can't deny the effort he puts into his body, like you said, to his workouts, to his study and film. I don't know if you saw that documentary on, was it Netflix or YouTube, where they did
the T12?
Yeah, was it that or Time Brady and I don't know what it was, but where they showed like him like watching film every day by
Oh
himself in
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
office. Oh my goodness, it's just people don't realize the amount of study that a quarterback in the NFL has to do to be
Hmm.
successful. It's insane, you
I
know.
mean, it's like anything. Like you have your craft, and certain people like they were talking about on the radio, I think yesterday, that what was it, the superstar gene, and do certain people have it? Like they just talked about Kobe. Kobe had that drive to be better no matter what. Um, they and certain athletes have it where it's just
Yep.
no matter what, I'm not going to stop. And you meet certain people who have it. Sometimes they're CEOs of huge companies, or
True.
sometimes they're just magnanimous people. And then there's others who are like, all right, I'll be good enough, but I'm not
Yep.
gonna, like, I don't have that gene where I'm just not gonna
Yeah, I don't
stop
either.
and not gonna. Yeah, I mean, very rarely do people have it, but
I remember when Jordan left basketball and everybody thought that it was just a gimmick, and then you find out that he's at the batting cage at 5:30 in the morning and it's dark, and he doesn't stop till 7 at night, and his hands are bleeding. And they would tell him to take a break. He's like, I don't have the curveball down yet. And you're like, what are you talking about? And here's a guy that was the best. He was the greatest basketball player on the planet. He quits cold turkey in his prime, and he's trying to hit a baseball, and he can't play. And he would spend 12 hours a day by himself in a batting cage with bloody hands.
yeah, man, it's just that thirst to be better.
Yeah, it's insane. It really is. Who do you think is the best basketball player ever?
LeBron.
You think
I'm
so?
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, we're done, folks. It's been good talking to
I
you.
thought I could get a little reaction out of you. No, I do think it's Jordan. I think it's one of those weird arguments. I think Michael Jordan is the best individual basketball player of all time, but I think LeBron is maybe the best teammate of all time. And it's very tough. I mean, LeBron is making it hard, but I don't think there's been anybody as special as Jordan.
I think it's fair to say that it's hard. You know, we just talked about basketball a while ago. The NBA game is so different now that it is a different game than when it was when Jordan played. I mean, the rules alone are so different now from when Jordan played. The emphasis on the 3-point shot was not what it was. It wasn't huge then. I mean, Jordan was a 3-point shooter. He was a specialist from 18 feet. You know, now an 18-foot jump shot will land you on the bench. You know, there's so many differences to the game. I think what people don't understand who say, oh, he was just like Kobe. No, he wasn't. He was that Mamba mentality, which everybody loves to talk about, and I like it too. Jordan had that times 10. I mean, you know, you take Kobe's mentality. Jordan was that times 10. I mean, it was just on a different level. And Jordan was also a better finisher. He was a better defender. He was more cutthroat even than Kobe was. I mean, there's just a lot of things about Jordan. I think it's funny. I saw a quote from Jordan yesterday. He said, when people are done watching this documentary, they're gonna think I'm a terrible person. Yes. I never went to Jordan for personal advice. I went to see him destroy people on a court and be happy about it. It didn't matter whether it was his own teammates. It didn't matter who it was. He's going to destroy people.
It's tough to have this conversation with, like, my age group at 28 is like right on the cusp.
Yes.
So anyone younger than me, when I have this conversation with them, they didn't see Jordan play night in and night out. They see LeBron and they saw Kobe.
Yep.
But anyone that I talk to that's 30 and above, it's hands down Jordan.
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
When people have seen both, I tend to go with the ones who, you know what I mean, 30 and above, they've seen both players.
Yeah.
But everything I've ever read and watched about Jordan, it's just, I mean, yeah, he's not going to be your best friend, but he'll.
Yeah. I don't know if you know who Cliff Livingston is. He played for the Bulls for the first three-peat. He actually he came to one of my basketball camps when I worked in Georgia and worked for a week for us. So, like, one day I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Do you have one of your rings? He's like, yeah. Do you want to see it? I'm like, do I want to see it? He's like, I'll bring it tomorrow. So I said, okay. So he walks in my office and he's got the box. It's a giant box, beautiful oak. And it's got like cut out the Bulls logo with his name and number. It's amazing. The box alone was incredible. So he opens the box and shows it to me. And I'm like, the ring is, first of all, it's huge, like size-wise, plus the stuff on it, all the diamonds. So I'm looking at it and he goes, you can hold it. I'm like, are you serious? Like, yeah, man, put on your finger. I don't care. So I put it on. And I'm like being really careful because I don't know how much this thing costs, but it's more than what I have, you know, it's for sure. It's probably $10,000 at that point. And so I put it in the box and I close it. I appreciate it. He's like, dude, just hang on to it for the rest of the day. I'm
What?
like, come again? Well, anyway, so he was there the whole week, but he would tell stories. He'd say, listen, man, he goes, the media thankfully wasn't in our practices. He said, because we would fight every day. He said, and Mike and Pippen they would split teams and they would fight because there was stitches, fist fights, bloody lips, bloody noses. He goes, those two decided that if they could make practice bad enough, games would be easy. He goes, so he said, it was a war every day in practice. He goes, there'll be days Phil wouldn't let us practice because he knew that it ended up in a fight.
Mm.
I mean, now you tell people that, like, it's just practice, relax. It was just different.
It was different times.
It was just different times. And
would you say perfect practice makes perfect?
I used to say that a lot to you guys. I don't know if it's really realistic, to be honest with you, because I think that the notion that you're ever going to be perfect in the sport is so miscontrived or misconstrued that I think it's not realistic. I think it's better to say, I'm going to do this at my peak level as many times as possible so that when pressure comes, I can be as consistent as I possibly can. I think that's more realistic. I think I've changed that over the years since I coached you guys. I think it's just different. I think, I help coach the girls varsity at our school. We have a girl who's a Division I type athlete, who's going to play Division II college volleyball, and she's going to run track. She could have played Division I volleyball. She was a unique and special talent that, she never was a perfect basketball player, but she's going to be top 12 in the state this year for basketball. But she was just she outworked everybody, but her God-given talent was so unique that again, she would work harder than anybody else in practice, but at the same time, there's also just a level of God-given ability that it's hard to explain.
Can't teach talent.
You can't teach a girl who's 6 foot a 35-inch vertical leap.
Yeah. It's more of a jump than I have.
Listen, man, she averaged 20 rebounds a game. She would miss her own shot and rebound it 4 times at a go. No one's getting it. She just out jumps everybody. I saw her in a volleyball match jump over a teammate to spike a ball. And it was clean. She drilled it. And I asked her, she goes, I know, I didn't mean to do that. I'm like, stop it. It was amazing. That was a freak play. Are you kidding me? Oh, man. So what are you learning from this whole pandemic?
Definitely enjoy the little things. When life is normal, we get so caught up. I shouldn't say we. I get so caught up in I'm going here Monday, going this Tuesday. There's a high school football game I want to go to on Friday. Baseball game on Thursday. Get so caught up in what I'm doing, where I'm taking the kids, where me and my wife are going, that you forget to, I don't know, sit down and play a board game.
We play Catan every night.
So I think the first time I ever played that was with you guys.
No, we just got it.
Really?
Yeah, we just got it
that up. I saw you brought that up on Facebook, and I played that one time in my life, and I enjoyed it, but I couldn't remember who I played it with. I'm like, oh, it must have been with them.
No, it's not me. We just got it. We got it like 3 weeks ago, and now we have the Seafarers edition too. So we're trying to figure it all out. It's fun. It's a lot of bargaining and trading and
tons of rules. That's all I remember. Tons of rules.
There's a lot of rules. Yeah. But hey, we got time to learn them. I mean,
this is true. Nothing but time.
I think it's a good point that you make though, because I think so many times we have more information, more technology, and more stuff going on in our lives than ever before. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens is we just forget that it's okay to sit in the house for a day.
Yeah.
And 2 days in a row, like, whoa, I got to go somewhere. No, you don't have to. I mean, listen, I don't want to get sick, but at the same time, me sitting in my house for 3 days is not the worst thing that's ever going to happen in my life. There's people losing their jobs, people who don't have food, people don't have, there's a lot of things going on out there right now. Economically, it's a whole nother story. But if the worst thing that happens to me is I have to sit in my house, there's worse things that could happen. That's for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's a different world than we grew up in. I know my wife's a part of a mom's group, and they're talking about monitoring their children's screen time and this, that, and the third. And like you said, everything's right at your fingertips with your phone. And it's probably a bad thing. It's like the instant gratification.
Right.
And if what I want, I get right now.
Yep.
But this kind of like brings things back old school. I mean, you have to pick up the phone and call somebody if you want to
Yeah.
hear their voice. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's true. You'll laugh at this, Brandon. I was telling a couple students recently that about the time I was teaching you, we didn't the internet wasn't what it is today. I mean,
No.
we would have discussions in class, and you guys would ask questions, and at some point, a teacher would say, "I don't know," and you guys would go, "Okay."
That's the end of it.
Now, if I say that in the class, they'll go, "Well, go ahead and Google it." I'll go, "Oh, okay," and I'll Google it. All right, there you go. They go, "Oh, okay." This generation has never walked away from a conversation not having some kind of answer.
This is true. I didn't even think of that.
It's a different generation for sure, because they always have some. Now it may not be accurate, but they're going to walk away with at least an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And we walk away going, who knows?
Oh, that's crazy. I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's totally different. And I think it's not always a good thing, because I think we get so much information on a daily basis that it can be stressing and overwhelming for sure.
It's definitely challenging. I mean, especially as a parent with young children, trying to raise kids. I mean, and every parent said, I remember my parents said, "This is a different world than we grew up in." And I'm looking at my wife saying, "This is a different world than we grew up in." And there's so many more things to be afraid of, but there's also so many more things that can be helpful. But it's just, I don't know, navigating parenting in this world is kind of tricky. But
yeah, my cousin has little ones, and she's ready to she needs to get out of the house, and this is not easy on young parents, because I mean, look, my kids are old enough. Youngest is 14, oldest is 20. We just got each other's hair for a little while, and we're at least okay. Now it'd be nice if we had decent weather. It was snowing this morning here, so I'd rather not have that. Rather have 70 degrees.
Snowing in mid-April.
Oh, we had snow on the ground this morning. Yeah, it didn't last long, but it was white for a little while. I'm like, oh, come on. It's late April. That's enough. But I mean, it could be a whole lot worse. That is for certain. I don't wish this on anybody, but at the same time, there's definitely worse things that could happen. Let's see. I was going to ask you one more thing. I forgot what it was. What is one passage of scripture that's maybe helped your family through all of these times?
Are you talking about the pandemic times, or just
a passage that you gravitate towards?
Okay. I actually have it right here. Let me read it for you.
All right.
So this is kind of something that my mom shared with me right after I had kind of gotten in trouble, and I started crawling my way back to God, and we had kind of alluded to this conversation about, can God use me now that I'm broken? And it's like the complete opposite of that. Like, God can't use a full vessel. You know what I mean? He needs an empty vessel. So let me find it right here. I should have had this ready for you.
That's all right. I'll play a song here. Do, 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 do,
Not
do.
the Jeopardy. This is what I get. See, I'm not as good as these kids with technology, and now my phone wants to freeze up.
I hate that. My Bible freezes up all the time on my Bible on my phone.
All right, so this isn't working. But one of the things that I've stuck to recently, and it kind of just goes back to like, where are you getting your help from? Are your friends? Are you getting it from other people in the same situation as you, or are you getting it from God? And I believe it's Psalm 34:4, and it's something as simple as, "I sought the Lord, and He answered me, and He delivered me from all my fears." And that may not be the exact phrasing, but it's basically in any situation that you're in, whether it's the coronavirus pandemic. I had that test, by the way, the COVID test.
Did you really?
I didn't tell you about it, but I did have it. It was absolutely terrible. Yeah, they stick a stick like 3 inches up your nose and behind your eye, and it's very.
Why'd you have it?
So I like Sunday night or Saturday night after we talked, I started getting really sick. I spent like 4 days being sick. I did a virtual visit with the doctor, And he's like, okay, go get the test, because I had a temperature of 101. So I guess this was 2 days ago. I had the test 2 days ago. I found out this morning it came back negative. I knew that once I started feeling good yesterday. I'm like, okay, I'm back to almost 100%. Must have had like a flu. But yeah, they stick it all the way up your nose and then behind, like turn towards your eye. It was, I was just like this, stuck. It was the most painful experience.
Oh my word.
15 seconds.
What?
Just going like this with a stick. Yeah.
Oh.
Not fun.
All right.
For
So
them
anyway,
to tell me.
back to Psalm 34.
Yeah, I don't know how I got on. I don't know how I didn't say that earlier. But yeah, I sought the Lord and he answered me and delivered me from my fears. And
that's it. Yep.
That's basically what I've been holding on to in this pandemic. I mean, like, you don't, if you watch the news for more than 20 minutes, you'll just get yourself worked up.
Yeah.
I try to watch it for maybe 15 minutes a day. That's it, because it's panic sells, and that's what's constantly on.
You're right. You're exactly
TV.
right.
So it's just, you know what, with my family, we're gonna seek God, and if He wants us to stay put, if He wants us to do X, Y, or Z, we'll do it. But let's just seek Him instead of seeking other people.
That's a great passage, Psalm 34:4. Sought the Lord, He answered me and delivered me from all my fears. It's a great passage, and I would encourage you guys to pull up that whole psalm and check that out. All right, I got one last thing for you, and this is actually from Emma. She just texted me. You'll like this one. Ask him if he remembers when he had to sit in the back seat with me on the way back from Bob Jones when I was a baby. Do you remember that?
I do. I do. That wasn't a bad car ride, because somehow we had hooked up.
So it was you and Bepple, and on the way down, it was just, I didn't have Emma. I had to pick up Emma down there.
Yeah, I remember that.
So you guys set up a TV was it a PlayStation?
I think it was a PlayStation, yeah.
So they put that in the front seat. They sat in the back seat. I drove them to a fine arts competition at Bob Jones University, and you guys played video games the whole way there.
I remember that trip. I can't believe we did that. We did everything through the the carport.
Yeah. And then on the way back, I had to get Emma. Emma was at my mother-in-law's house in Georgia, so she drove to Greenville. And the last day, I went and picked her up at Cracker Barrel and put her car seat in. So you guys were like, wait, what? And yeah. I'm like, yeah, no video games on the way home. And so you ended up.
Yeah.
I remember at one point you had to you were about to feed her, and then at one point I think it was Bepple. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, yo, Nan, she's sleeping. We ain't stopping.
I remember actually. I fed her, and then Bepple had to go to the bathroom. We were like, no. See, it's funny because now as a parent, I'd be like, no, you better hold it.
I don't know how old she was at that point. She had to be a year and a half. She was little.
Yeah.
She was definitely little.
over a year. Older than my son now.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's great. All right, man. Well, listen, you got anything else for us before we wrap this up?
Nah, man. Thank you for having me on. It's good seeing you guys again.
Absolutely.
For your classmates, you guys got one great coach and teacher, and whatever else he does for you. He's a good one.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we have a good time. I'm only middle school now, so that's probably a good thing. I teach middle school classes all day long, and right in my wheelhouse. I enjoy middle school. And but it's good to have Brandon on. Brandon, I wish you well, and I hope that that passages like Psalm 34 just keep on ringing in your heart, and that you can continue to grow, and then use your experience and story to bring other people to the Lord, because I think that God's going to continue to use you in the future, man. So that's awesome.
Amen.